Südpolshow.
So, hello. We are the reporters of the Südpolshow on 92.4. Could you first please introduce yourself by saying your name and the title of your latest book?
Yes, so I am Jonathan Stroud, and my latest book is Scarlett and Browne, The Outlaws, which came out in Germany earlier this year.
Do you know some German words?
I don't know very many, not as many as I should do. I did learn German at school for a couple of years, but I know a few words here and there. What did I learn? I remember a song I was taught about a farmer, which I began "Ja, so get de Bauer durch den Match." So I could sing that first line, but everything else I've kind of forgotten.
Okay. Since when are you writing stories and why?
Well, I've been writing stories since I was about 6, and I've got some of my very early books in my house that I did when I was very tiny. But my first published book was when I was 24, and my first novel was when I was 29. And for the last 20 years, I've been doing lots of for novels like the Lockwood & Co. series and the Bartimaeus books.
Do you have a cuss box, just like Scarlett?
I should do, yes, because sometimes when the books are the writing is not going well, I get very cross, and I need a cuss box. My English publishers made me a little cuss box when Scarlett and Browne came out, but I've lost it. I don't know where it is.
What was your idea behind the story? Is there a moral?
That's a good question. Usually when I write my books, I don't think about morals at the beginning. I want to make a good adventure. I want to have something that's exciting to read and that you like the characters. But there always are morals in my books. Usually it's something to do with friendship, the importance of hope. So yes, Scarlett and Albert are both, at the beginning of the story, very lonely and isolated. And by the end of the story, they have found some kind of healing in each other's friendship.
Why did you choose two anti-heroes as protagonists?
Well, I think anti-heroes are always more interesting than conventional heroes. We are all flawed. We all have problems and issues, and it's fun to create somebody who has bad sides as well as good sides, and then see if you can find the heroism in them. So Scarlett is she's violent and angry, and when she meets Albert, he seems very soft and weak, but actually when you put the two together, then they become extremely strong.
The book is divided into 4 parts. Was your idea originally to write 4 small books?
That's a good question. No, I always wanted it to be one book, but usually when I write a novel, I like to make the structure very precise, and so I divide it obviously into chapters, but also into sections, and each section has its own structure, and so you subdivide. So each chapter will have bits in it. And the 4 main sections are the biggest components of the machine, the machine that I've created.
In the world of Scarlett and Browne, would you rather be an outlaw, a resident of the Isles, or a bank manager?
I'd rather be an outlaw, because there is freedom in that life. It's a hard life because they roam around the country, and there are monsters and there are scary things. But it is a beautiful country, and they discover things, and they have the freedom to sleep under the stars. They can go where they want. Everyone else is trapped inside the towns, and they don't do anything interesting.
Why is Scarlett an outlaw?
Well, you find out more about her background in book 2, which I am writing now. She does not like to talk about herself at all, so you don't really find out in the first book, except there are hints that something bad happened to her, and it has made her very angry against the towns and the people who rule them. So to find out more, you have to read book 2.
How did the maps at the beginning of the book come about? Did you sketch the first drafts yourself?
Yeah, it's exactly right. I wanted to have a journey going along the River Thames, from the source of the river right through to the sea, and so I always knew that the book would be a journey, a movement down this river. And as I was writing it, I made some little sketches to show where they were. And then when I finished, I made the map as good as I could, gave it to the publishers, and they got an illustrator to make it look really nice.
Are there any characters similar to you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think always my heroes or anti-heroes have part of me inside them. So I am a little bit like Albert, who is quite kind of gentle and a bit optimistic, and he likes to see good things in the world. So I'm a little bit like him, but I also get cross and angry like Scarlett does. So I understand both of these characters, and I try and give them a little bit of me to make them alive.
So the bank manager, Mr. Appleby, whom Scarlett pays a visit at the beginning of the book, he's eating biscuits and drinking tea. And according to your website, you do that every day too. So I was wondering, is that just like a British thing, or did you like consciously integrate your personal preferences into the book?
That's excellent. Yeah, well, yes, that's true. He is a very traditional English guy, and in fact, I wanted him to be like that. I wanted him to be comfy and a little bit complacent, and he is not an imaginative guy. He likes things to be comfortable for himself. The tea and the biscuits. And Scarlett comes and she knocks it all off his desk, and she jumps on the desk and smashes through the window. And I wanted to show that she is not interested in any of that. It was also a slight reference to my last series, Lockwood and Co. Because Lockwood and Co. they are very English, and they drink lots of tea and they love biscuits, and so I wanted to say no, Scarlett is different. She will drink coffee. She does not like that kind of English complacency.
Do you like chewing gum like Scarlett?
Actually, no, I don't. I don't have chewing gum or bubble gum very much at all. My family, my wife and my kids all quite like chewing gum sometimes, but I will have it occasionally, but no, not normally. I prefer biscuits.
Can you describe Scarlett in 3 words?
Oh, that's a good question. Fierce, loyal, energetic.
Have you ever stayed overnight in a forest?
Yes, I've been camping and have slept in among the trees, and that's it's a very beautiful thing. I do like forests actually, and I've also slept outdoors without a tent many years ago when I was in Greece, and we got lost, and so we just sort of lay down under the stars in a field, and it was beautiful. And I like the idea of that, just being free and sleeping in the middle of the wilderness.
Scarlett says in the book that she has an almost too vivid imagination. Is it the same for you? And if yes, how does it affect you?
That's a brilliant question. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I do have a strong imagination, of course, because that is what I use for my job. Sometimes, yes, I don't know if it is the same for you, but I worry about things a lot. So I think about things that might happen, and I can kind of see it, and I start to worry about things that have not happened. So that's not very good. And that's what I mean with Scarlett, that she's always thinking, and sometimes the thoughts make her unhappy or make her anxious or angry. So yeah, I think I do think too much sometimes.
When Albert first appeared in the story, I immediately had to think about the Little Albert experiment. I don't know if you know it, but is it just a coincidence that your character carries the name Albert as well?
What is the Little Albert experiment?
It's a very popular experiment in behavioral psychology, and it's about how to induce fear in a person and also how to generalize fear. Like it's some classical conditioning thing.
Wow, no, I've never heard of that. So it is a coincidence.
Okay.
But it sounds interesting. So I must go and investigate this. I like the name Albert because I think the name is it's quite English. It's quite old-fashioned. It's quite gentle. So I used it because I thought it had the right feel.
Why does Scarlett decide to take Albert with her? Does she think Albert is going to follow her anyway, or does she think he could be useful?
Good question. I think at the beginning, it's purely because she is actually a good person. She is very tough. She's very cynical. She thinks that she is very hard and solitary, and that she does not want to hang around with this irritating guy. But actually, she is also a good person who can see that he will die if she does not help him. And so, although she is very angry about it, she does take him to safety, or she says she will help him. So it's a very important part of who she is. I have to like my characters, and I do like Scarlett, even at the beginning when she is a very angry and tough person.
Yeah.
Scarlett sees her way of praying as an escape from reality. Is that what writing is for you?
Brilliant question. Yes, I mean, in many ways, yes. I think all of us, the world, it has difficulties and pressures and dangers, things that make us feel frightened, and all of us need some way of escaping, pushing it away, giving us some space so that you can remember who you are and what's important to you, and make you feel calm again. And obviously there are many different ways of doing that. You can meditate, you can do yoga, you can go to the church and pray, you can write. And it's true that I escape from my anxieties by inventing new worlds and living in them for a while.
Usually, you start a book project by writing a scene between, for example, the main characters, and the whole plot kind of develops from that. Was that the beginning of Scarlett and Browne too? And if it was, what was the first scene you wrote?
Great question again. So Yes, you're right. Most of my books will start with some kind of meeting between two different characters. Usually they get cross with each other and they are very different, and they fight a bit, or they argue, or they make silly jokes, and usually there is an energy that comes from this meeting. With this book, it began with a false start, because originally I had an adult guy who was in the Scarlett role, and I had a girl who was in the Albert role, and the two came together, and I had them on a raft, and they were arguing on the raft, and I had some good scenes and some good energy, but I could not make it work. The guy was wrong, and in the end, I realized I had to change it, and so Scarlett became the main character, and I made the gentle figure into a boy, and then suddenly I knew that the book was going to work.
Who would you rather have by your side on an adventure, Scarlett or Albert?
That's tough, because I think in many ways you need Scarlett, because she will know the best place to camp. She will light a good fire. She will chase away the monsters. She is competent. Albert is not very competent, and if I was with him, we would probably both die very quickly. So I have to say Scarlett, but of course she would be difficult company. She would probably be very annoyed with me. I would be like Albert.
Will there be sequels? And if so, how many are you planning?
Yes, so I'm writing the second book right now. Just over here in the corner of my room, I have lots of papers. There it is. That's book 2, and I'm just going to edit it with my editors soon. So yes, I think that will be published next year. I think maybe there will be 3 books, but I don't quite know. I'm very happy with the second book. I think it will be good, and you will find out all about Scarlett, which is obviously an important thing.
Yeah.
Would you also like to be able to see thoughts just like Albert?
I think that would be a dangerous talent to have. I think it would be harmful if I met somebody and they were thinking something negative or something that was not nice for me. That would be quite upsetting. So no, I think it's important actually for us all to have our own private lives. So no, I'd like to be like Scarlett, so I could kick people and shoot them and jump out of buildings and survive. That would be good.
Everyone who's different is welcome on the island. This is a very idealistic thought. Do you think there's a place like that in real life too?
Another great question. No, I don't think. Well, yes. I mean, I think it's in the book. The islands are a little bit of a false. They are a bit of an illusion, because yes, you can come there and you can be different and you can be welcomed, but then when you are there, you have to obey the rules that these guys have invented. So actually, when Scarlett and Albert go there, Albert realizes he doesn't really want to become part of that society. And I think all societies have this mix. This is the problem that we all see on the news every day. The problems of migration, about immigration, welcoming people, outsiders, insiders. We all want really to have friends coming in, but we also have problems, and we get cross and we get worried about strangers. It's a human problem, and nowhere is ideal. We all have to work to make our own communities more welcoming.
Who is most dangerous, the beasts, the tainted, or the high council of the faith houses?
Well, they all are dangerous in different ways. I think the beasts are the least dangerous, because if you are sensible, you don't go in the water, or you don't go into the deep forest too much, then the beasts will leave you alone. The tainted are pretty frightening, but again, they are out in the wilds, and the High Council are there in the streets, in the shops, they are there looking at you as you walk along in your house, in your towns. So probably they are the most dangerous, because they are human, they're clever, and they're very controlling.
And to quote Schilling, do you believe in good and bad?
Yes, I do. I think they good and evil both exist, and they are sort of there within us all, and we have the potential for good deeds, bad deeds. Most of us try to stay on the good side, and most of us are in the middle somewhere, and it's a bit grey and messy.
Which perspective did you find easiest to write from?
That is a brilliant question again. I think I found it easier to write Scarlett's perspective, because with Albert you have his psychic abilities, the ability to understand other people in a different way. That was more complicated for me to understand. It took me longer to figure out how to write his chapters, and eventually I think I got it. But to begin with, I found it hard. Scarlett, I think I understand her very well, actually, and it's true in the second book also, that when I'm writing about Scarlett, I feel it's quite easy in many ways. Albert, always I have to think more carefully, because he has these weird fantastical abilities that makes him more difficult.
With whom of your characters from Scarlett and Browne would you prefer to land on a desert island?
Well, any of the characters in the book, or just
Yes, any of them.
well, most of the characters in the book are pretty annoying, or I think I do like I like Joe. There's an old guy called Joe who they meet on the raft, and his little granddaughter, who is very small and very cute. And for me, I wanted to have the desert island idea on the raft, that Albert and Scarlett land on the raft, and then they have this little place where they are safe from all the nasty things out there, and it's just this little family with the old guy, the girl, the boy, and the child, and they're all very different, and they all really irritate each other, but they also are a family, and they look after each other. So the book is very much about family, actually, also. Okay, again, if I was on a desert island with Scarlett, she would keep me alive. She'd go and get me a coconut. She's probably the best, to answer your question.
And do you make a writing plan before writing the story? So what is your process?
My process is usually I will start with, like you said, I will start with just an idea, maybe two characters, having a conversation, and I get excited by the energy of this conversation, and it begins to spark new ideas, and I slowly build my story outwards from that one place. But as I write, I will start to create a structure. Like you said, I will have sections in the book. There'll be a section on the raft. There's a section in a town. There's a section where the guys meet. There's a conclusion. I will start to think about the structure. But as I write, I will always change it and move things around, and I keep on doing that until I'm happy. So yeah, I do have a roadmap to follow.
The world building in the book is pretty complex and amazing. Was it really hard to develop?
Yes, it took me, I think, maybe nearly 3 years to write this book. And usually the first book in a series is the hard one because you have to invent the rules. You know, what is the world? How does it work? Why can you do this? Why can't you do that? Who are your characters? Where do they fit into the world? All of it is fluid and unknown at the start, and you can do anything. So you have to slowly figure out where all the pieces come. This book was tricky. The second book, I've done it in 1 year, so it's a much quicker process.
So we also have to talk a bit about Lockwood & Co., of course, because there's going to be a Netflix series soon. And first of all, congratulations. Is this a very exciting experience for you?
Thank you very much. Yes, it is extremely exciting because it's been in process for years and it's taken a long time. But this year we started filming.
Cool. Were you allowed to write the script as well?
I did not write the script, but I've seen the scripts and I talked to the guys who are making it. When they were starting out, they had all the writers meeting together in London, and I came to see them, and we had a morning where they asked me questions, and we talked about, you know, all the characters and the problems and things that they might need to know. And then I went away, and they did a super job on the scripts. I think it will be really, really great.
Yeah. Have you been on set yet?
Yes, well, because of coronavirus, I have not been on set as much as I would like. But yes, in the summer, I went down to visit the set on location. They were outside London filming some scenes, and I went down for the day, and I met the cast and saw some scenes being shot, and it was really great. I think the cast are really, really good, and the amount of energy that is being put into making this series is huge. It's going to be really, really great, I think.
Sounds really cool.
It's very cool. I wish I could talk more about it, but I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, I understand it. As a writer, you have to take care of so many different things. And I wonder what percentage of your day-to-day work are you actually writing, like typing words?
What percentage of the day? That's a good question. So if I'm really trying to finish the book, like I was with the new one, I would spend most of the I would turn off the email. I will just go in there and I will work from 9 o'clock in the morning through to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I will try and write a chapter or revise 3 chapters, and I do nothing else, and my whole life gets very, very concentrated, and that's really the only way that I can do it. Now, when I'm waiting for the edits, I don't do any writing at all, and I'm going out and having nice walks and thinking of new ideas, and so it changes. Different times, I will do different things.
As a writer, do you procrastinate a lot?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, I think I do, but not as much as I used to. I think because I'm quite experienced, I know that the important thing is to write something, and I will try things, and I'm not afraid to remove them, change them. That's okay. That's part of writing. What I don't like doing is sitting around doing nothing. I prefer to write some words and take it take it further. So I don't procrastinate too much now.
You seem to enjoy writing sarcastic, morally grey characters. Are there any other character types you really like better or really like?
I like characters who have the ability to be sarcastic, because in the real world, you know, we can't be sarcastic too much, because then you end up getting punched, or everyone tells you to go. I like with Bartimaeus the genie. You know, he was a very sarcastic character, very energetic. I like characters that have energy, that have charisma, that have humor. Humor is important. Someone like Albert is not sarcastic, but there is still humor in what he does and how he interacts with Scarlett. And the way he speaks is sometimes quite funny, because he's a bit formal. He says things in a slightly different way. So I do love characters who make me laugh. So all my main characters, always I want them to be able to create humor.
Is it easy for you to separate your working time from your free time? How often do you think about your stories in your leisure time?
That's a great question too. I'm okay at separating them, because when I'm in my office here, I that's all I do. I just think about my book, and I don't want to think about anything else. But when I leave, I don't like to think about it very much. It's like, no, I now need to go and see my family, or go and do boring jobs, or go for a walk. So I'm okay at separating it usually.
Coming back to the sarcasm, because it's just so popular in your books, do you think it's the type of humor readers find most relatable or funny?
I think it's one kind of humor that people like. I suppose for me, my humor comes out mostly in the dialogue, in the way that the characters talk to each other. And so one part of that is the sarcasm, that you can undercut. One character can be full of himself, and then the other character comes in and makes a little comment that just undercuts them and reminds them that they are not maybe as cool as they thought they were. So, for example, with Lockwood and Co., Anthony Lockwood is, he's very handsome and he's very sort of charismatic, but you have all the other characters who are there to make little jokes and remind him that actually he is an idiot too. Sometimes, you know, it's a really nice mechanism, and it makes all my characters, I think, closer as a kind of family unit.
Do you already have a new project? And if you do, can you tell us a bit about it?
So at the moment, Scarlett and Browne is the main project, because I have to finish the second book, and maybe a third book, which would be great. I have lots of other ideas that I would like to do. I would like to write another Bartimaeus book. I would like to write another Lockwood book, perhaps. And these things are all there. I have little notes and little scenes and things that I would like to work on. But usually the problem is I don't have enough time, so I have to just focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I really like the way you describe things, because you always use some really complex and sometimes even abstract comparisons. And I wonder if they just come up naturally while you're writing, or do you add them afterwards?
Good question again. I think they usually come while I'm writing. When I started, I used to write very long descriptions, and I think there was too much. So now, as I go, I think visually. I try to see things really clearly. When my characters go to a new place, I want to see it, and I want my readers to see it, and I try and create an image very quickly. I don't want to slow the story down. So I will try to create the images that quickly give you an image in your head.
Do you have any writing tips for children who want to become authors as well? For example, me.
Well, you're clearly good with words. Your questions are superb. I think that the most important thing is to write something that entertains and excites you. You have to entertain yourself. Don't try and write something for other people. It has to be something that you love and enjoy. Then you have to just be relaxed, and you try and write regularly. You try and create little scenes, and don't worry if it doesn't become a great novel straight away. I think it's all just about practicing, experimenting, having fun, and always you're trying to find your voice. What is your voice? What makes you an interesting writer? And you will have a voice, and sometimes it will take you some years to find it. That's okay. It took me till I was 31, and then I found Bartimaeus and I found my voice. But I've been writing since I was 6, so that's a lot of years. So just be patient and have fun.
Is there a song which we can play in our radio show for you?
Oh, what a great one. Song. Okay. What do I like? Oh yeah. What do I listen to? I don't listen to anything when I'm writing. So I know some writers do, but I always like it to be quiet. You could play David Bowie's "Life on Mars." That's one of my favorites.
Can you greet our listeners of the Südpolshow on 92.4 with your name and the title of your latest book, please?
Okay, guys. So thank you very much. I am Jonathan Stroud, and the title of my book is Scarlett and Browne, The Outlaws, which was published in Germany this very year.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you, guys. It's really been a pleasure, and your questions are superb, and I wish we could carry on the conversation for hours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Within us all.